Oh, folks, it's Football Manager Christmas Eve. The full version of Football Manager 2024 releases tomorrow at 4 p.m. UK time, which means my biggest series of the year, Non-League to Legend, also starts tomorrow at the slightly later than usual kickoff time of 5 p.m. And that'll be right here on this channel as a YouTube premiere. But this isn't just an advert for tomorrow. As those of you who've been around before will know, Non-League to Legend is a little bit different to a normal Football Manager series, played with a very particular set of rules. You'll already know what the rules are if you've watched the series before, and as this is the 9th year in a row we've done this, there's a pretty good chance that you have. But for those of you new to the channel or to the game this year, this video will explain what makes Non-League to Legend special and why it's different to every other Football Manager series you'll see here on YouTube. It's also a chance for me to show you the sexy new intro for this year's series. So let's watch that, then crack on with explaining how all this is going to work. Oh, isn't it snazzy? And of course, it answers the question loads of you will have. Who's the starting team this year? Welcome aboard, Tamworth. I look forward to sampling your halftime snacks soon. So welcome along to the annual tradition of the Non-League to Legend rules episode. I'm Kev. I sometimes wear a suit, and I'm itching to get into talking about this year's save. But first, some housekeeping. Today, the 5th of November, is the last time you can get FM24 at its super discounted pre-order price because Sports Interactive remove their discount when the full game releases. My 5% discount that you can get with code LOLLUJO at the link down in the description, that's not going anywhere. So if you're watching this in the future, it's still cheaper to buy using my link than to buy directly from Steam or Epic. But from tomorrow, it'll be 5% off a higher price. So if you want to play FM24 right now for just £35 and 5p, head over to Fanatical using my link, add discount code LOLLUJO at checkout, and you'll get your Steam code immediately and be playing the game straight away. Like I say, it's cheaper than buying directly on Steam, much cheaper than it'll be this time tomorrow, plus it supports the channel too. So go do that now if you haven't already bought the game. It's the cheapest way to do it. So now we've got that out of the way, let's get stuck into these rules. I love rules. There are 6 rules to Non-League to Legend that make it different from every other series you'll see on YouTube. And I think they also make the game much more fun to play. So if you like what you see, give them a try in your save too. So, rule number 1. How do I choose who I'm going to manage? And this one's really simple. You get a map and you work out where in the world you are. For me, I'm in England, sort of near Leicester. I then find the lowest playable league in the vanilla version of FM in the country that I'm in. So for me, that's the National League North and South. For your country, it could be the top division there. There might only be one playable league in the game in your country. Your country might not even be in the game at all. In which case, find the nearest country to where you live and then find the lowest playable league there. Or just ignore all that and choose England anyway, because England's a fun place to start. It's up to you. It's your game. But I follow these rules to the letter. It's also important that this is in the vanilla, unmodded version of the game, because in Non-League to Legend, we don't mod the game in any way. No downloaded leagues, unlocked extra stuff, editor or database shenanigans. We always just play on the vanilla game. So for me, it's the National League North and South, and then I just find the nearest club to my house. For me, I also have to consider that this is now the 9th year of doing this series on YouTube, and it wouldn't be much fun to start with the same team every year, so I choose the closest club to my house that I haven't managed on YouTube before. The teams we've started with previously are Boston, Gainsborough, Alfreton, St Albans, Kings Lynn, Kettering, Leamington, and last year was Peterborough Sports. I've somehow got to 9 fingers, even though there were only 8 previously. I don't know what I've done there. I've also moved house since we started doing this, so I moved the point that I measure from when I did that. So taking all that into account, the nearest club to my house that I've not managed before, and our starter team for this year is Tamworth. There's the badge. Who, similar to Peterborough Sports last year, are newly promoted to the National League North this season. So then moving on to rule number 2, and that is that everything we do in this series, every decision we make, has to be based on realism. And it's important here that I explain what I mean by realism, because this one sometimes confuses people. I don't mean that we try and mimic reality or do what is or has already been done in real life. I mean, I engage full roleplay mode and make decisions in-game as if it were real life and I had to make those decisions. Where this is super important is when it comes to changing clubs, because this is not a one club save. That wouldn't be realistic. This is a journeyman save where we'll move clubs throughout our career, and every time we're offered a new job, the decision about whether to take it will be based on what I do in real life. So, for example, if I'm in the National League North and earning £500 a week, I'm not going to quit that job and go and manage in Poland for £600 a week, because although that's a pay rise, it's a small one, and in real life, I'm not going to move countries just for an extra £100 a week. That's not a decision any normal person would make. However, if I get offered £10,000 a week to go and manage in Poland, even if I don't particularly want to go, if I'm only earning £500 a week where I am at the moment, I'm probably going to Poland for a bit because it's such a huge amount of extra money. Now, I know people can get very attached to football clubs, and you might believe that in reality, you wouldn't go and manage a rival club or a bigger club no matter how much money they give you. But I promise you, if you were doing this for real, if it was really your job, you're probably going to follow the money once the numbers start getting big enough. It doesn't matter how big of a Man United fan you are, with enough zeros involved, you'll go and manage Liverpool with a massive smile on your face, and you'll probably even kiss the badge for the right price. So what that means in practice for the save is that starting with Tamworth, if we get a couple of seasons in and get a big offer to manage a League Two club, even if it's a League Two club who look like they're going to get relegated and we're top of the National League with Tamworth, and the two clubs are probably going to swap divisions at the end of the season, even if I know that for my long-term career, I'm probably going to be better off staying where I am and getting promotion, if that League Two team offered to treble my salary, then I'm probably taking that job, because who's going to turn down trebling their salary? It's also worth noting that the deeper into the save we get, the less important money will become. So if I'm already earning £100,000 a week managing a Premier League club, I might be happy turning down £120,000 a week to manage a different one, for example. The decisions will always be made based on the circumstances at the time, but will always be the one that I'd make in that scenario. That's realism. Take an example from last year. I managed Preston, got them into the Premier League, built a great team that was challenging for a Champions League spot when Spurs came in for me. They were below Preston in the league and needed a rebuild, but they also offered me a massive pay rise to go to a high reputation club with a bigger stadium, better facilities, more long-term financial backing. It was just the right decision to go and manage Spurs, because that's what I do in real life. Whereas if I was just thinking in terms of playing a computer game, I probably would have stayed at Preston and tried to win the league with them, because fun, isn't it? And that one did spark plenty of debate in the comments last year as well. And realism does dictate everything we do in game, not just who we manage, but also the staff members we hire, the players we sign, the formations we play. You won't see me playing glitchy formations that break the match engine in this save. I'll play the formations and style of football that I'd want to play in real life, and that's likely to look different in non-league to how it might look in the Champions League. I also never touch the player search screen, never touch the staff search screen. We don't mess around with attribute filters or any of that stuff. I know some of you will argue that, oh, goodness me, do I know some of you will argue that stuff like that exists in real football these days. I don't care. I don't do it in any of my saves. I won't be starting now, if for no other reason that it would make the game even easier than it can be at times if we could literally just go to the player search and filter to find the exact player we need. I always play with attribute masking on, and I only sign players recommended by my scouts or other members of staff, or players that we could legitimately know about in game, like players we're linked with in the media, players we played against, players who've won awards. Getting recommendations from the director of football is also fine. Rummaging through Premier League youth teams is not fine. Staff can only be hired two ways. The most common one is I just leave it to my director of football or chairman or whoever I can delegate it to. I'm not convinced in real life that the first team manager is involved in hiring under 18 coaches, for example, so I'm happy leaving that to somebody else. For key positions like assistant manager though, or areas where we might be weak, like if we don't have enough scouts, I'm happy to put out a job advert and then hire based on who applies for the job, but we will never touch the staff search screen. The only exception to this is if we want to offer a former player a coaching role based on our previous relationship with them. Again, it's something I do in real life, so as far as I'm concerned, it's fair game. I also don't sack staff unless I have a good reason to, and getting 3 promotions isn't a good reason to sack my long-serving assistant manager just because I can now probably get a better one. However, losing 10 games in a row might be a good enough reason to sack him so we can get some new ideas in. We might sack a director of football or a scout if several players they recommend turn out to be rubbish, but we won't just bin them off because their judging player potential attribute is low and we want to find better young players. Because in real life, you can't see those attributes. You make decisions based on your experiences with that person. We also don't sign players just because they're good in real life. I don't pay any attention to Wonder Kids lists deliberately. It's why you don't see those kind of videos on my channel. I don't want to know to go and try and sign Lamine Yamal first season when his release clause is low. If he doesn't come up on my scout reports, he doesn't exist to me. We don't make any decisions based on real life player reputations or performances. Everything is judged on what is happening in the game. In fact, no outside knowledge at all is allowed into the game. So I can't download training schedules, tactics, set piece routines, none of that. Can't download that, can't use any of that, can't copy them off a website, but I'm not really downloading it, so it's okay. None of that is allowed. I can use the in-game tactical presets because they're there in the game. I can then tweak them as much as I like or create my own stuff as much as I like, but nothing comes in from outside the game. And it should go without saying that we turn off the in-game editor so we can't find out current ability, potential ability, hidden attributes, that kind of thing. Basically, this is all about balancing realism and difficulty and trying to make a save that we're all going to enjoy that can last like 15 seasons with a decent amount of challenge. I've been doing this for 8 years now, and I think we've fine-tuned these rules to the point where they provide us with a fun game, a fun series, and a decently paced progression without it ever getting too easy or too hard. You'll see me sign players that end up rubbish because my scout thought they'd be good. You'll see me lose in the playoffs multiple times. You'll get frustrated that I'm not doing the things the way you do the things. But you'll also see an awesome story told over multiple clubs, multiple seasons. Heroes will emerge, and we do tend to win something in the end after all is said and done. We just sometimes go the long way round. And that's it. If you want to play along, those are the rules. If you want to watch along, don't expect me to break the rules. And I hope you all enjoy the series, and make sure you're back here for the YouTube premiere at 5 p.m. tomorrow. So slightly later than the usual 4 p.m. slot, because the game comes out at 4 and I kind of need an hour to make the video before I can put it out there for you to watch. But if you are excited for the series, leave a thumbs up on the video. Let me know down in the comments who you're going to be managing, and thank you very much for watching.